sitting here in the morning watching these videos, having my cup of coffee. I watch many other videos too, besides just fitness, loose term that it is, related videos on YouTube. I watch a lot of other stuff on YouTube besides that. But what comes into my feed, I check it out. And I just watched a video of Jason Blaha, and basically he's talking about constant tension. Now, constant tension, it does not work. Full range of motion is far superior. Not only is full range of motion superior, in his opinion, or by his assessment, but constant tension doesn't work at all. It doesn't work, basically. That's what he said, right? Didn't he say that? That it doesn't provide any advantage to building muscle? Something along those lines. I might be incorrect. But I'm half asleep, Jason. I might not have picked up on everything you said exactly as you said it. And I'm a little slow. I'm working with an old brain here. But I would say continuous tension absolutely works. Constant tension works. There's no two way about it. It works because it enables you to use sometimes a lesser weight, actually, and get to failure quicker. Get into that failure area quicker. I think it's a useful technique, especially on certain exercises. It's very useful. In fact, some exercises, I'll give you a perfect example. Preacher curls. Preacher curls. You'll see a lot of guys only doing the top portion of a preacher curl, up top. And the reason they're only doing the top portion of the preacher curl is because it's easy and they can put too much weight on and do that. They can't do full range of motion exercise and go all the way down to the bottom, right? Well, all the work is at the bottom. The first, I don't know, maybe 2/3 from the bottom up. That's where the work is. So if I do preacher curls, I don't come all the way up and let it rest up on top of my elbow. Just sit up the top like this. I do continuous tension on preacher curls. Certain exercises I would use constant tension. I would use constant tension on a preacher curl. Go all the way down the bottom and work that 2/3 range of motion or thereabouts down there, because that's where it's working. You can feel when biceps basically deactivated. When you get up to the last bit at the top, you're just sitting there resting on it. I don't see the point in that. It's wasted movement. So I use continuous tension there. Most of the arm training stuff, I use continuous tension. I may not always completely lock out. Sometimes I do. Other times I do not completely lock out. Another exercise I'll do that on is if I'm doing any kind of with a cable over my shoulder pulling this way, cable's back there, and I'm pulling this way. I can turn certain ways. I can bring that rear delt in and activate that rear delt extremely well. That's why I've got such pop in rear delts. Even naturally now, my rear delts still look pretty good. And I might rock that and pull that back and forth just to burn in that rear delt. And it's beneficial to me, and that's continuous tension. But I understand where he's coming from with this. I think that you can employ techniques similar to what I do, where I use constant tension, but you do need full range of motion. And full range of motion, if one has to be superior over the other, full range of motion is absolutely superior. You should always perform full range of motion and not neglect that, especially in the basic lifts, because you don't want to have, you're only as strong as your weakest link. A chain's only as strong as its weakest link. You don't want to have places where your strength drops out or portions of the range of motion where you're weak. And full range of motion is particularly important for older trainers because your body is like a hinge, on all these joints. It's just like a screen door, that you only open part way and slip through. And you do that for years, and rust never sleeps. And now it starts to get creaky. If you try to open it all the way up, it'll be more resistant to that, and you may develop problems. And it's easier to fix the screen door than it is to fix you. It's easier to replace that hinge or oil that hinge than it is to fix your joints. So I think full range of motion is absolutely the way to go. You definitely, especially your practicality of it in real life situations, you need to be able to avail yourself of the muscle that you've built and the strength that's related to that muscle in real world situations through full range of motion. I've always said that, even with like squats, for example. I use full range of motion squats. I could do more weight. Even back in the day when I could lift a lot of weight, I always could have done more weight if I only went parallel. But I like to go bring my feet in a little closer and go full range as far as I'm mechanically capable of going. Because, if I drop, it might not make sense to you, but I've always thought to myself, if I drop something on the floor in old age, a quarter or something, I want to bend over and pick it up. I can't reach it if I can only go down parallel, perhaps. I want to be able to, if my joints bend that far and I am physically, mechanically capable of moving certain ranges of motion, I want to be able to do that. I want my muscularity to support that. I don't want to have a trade-off. In other words, I don't want to lose range of motion or the ability to employ range of motion or to use the strength that I've developed through the full range of motion, because you don't know what situations you're going to find yourself in. And yes, I do think if you do not perform full range of motion exercises, you are setting yourself up for an injury, not only in the gym, but even in just real world situations. I think you're much more likely to be injured. If one's superior to the other, if one has to be superior. If one has to be superior, they're just different. But if one must be superior, then certainly full range of motion exercises are going to be superior. That's just common sense. Anyway, it's just my little input. Whatever it's worth, whatever it's not worth, it is what it is. It's all I can muster. You guys take care. Have an awesome day.